Before I start, I'd like to make a statement here. I was approached right before the meeting by Amy Hollenball, granddaughter to Violet. Is that right?
Yeah.
She gave me a gavel here that Violet used for the meetings when she was a mayor, 4-term mayor in Nelsonville. And she was also a member of the charter committee. And so I would like to recognize that I'm going to use this gavel to open the meeting, and thank you for doing that. So
Also Marcy.
and yes, Marcy
Niece.
is the niece of Violet. So, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to start this meeting. I'll call this meeting to order on Monday, October 27th at 7:04. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Taylor, would you give the opening prayer?
O good shepherd, you who gather us as lambs in your arms, carry us close to your heart. We long for peace on earth as it is in heaven. In this election season, we ask that you carry our nation close to your heart, protect us and guide us into the ways of peace. We pray specifically against violence at the political rallies, polling places, debates, city councils, and other spaces where many are gathered. May we become a nation that turns our weapons into plowshares, taking on the posture of nonviolence. By the power of your Spirit, we ask for safety to prevail and that you would lead us into the ways of your peaceful kingdom. In your Son's name we pray.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Lawson.
Here.
Mr. Peck.
Here.
Mr. Clement.
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Joseph Saul. Here. Mr. Powell.
Here.
Mr. Flower.
Yes. Here. So at this time, we have some appointments to some committees. Mr. Holmes, would you like to introduce the people and we'll get them sworn in?
I have Dean Pitcock for the Nelsonville Planning Commission, if you'll come forward. I also have Roger Carpenter. Roger is a recent, he moved into our community from Charlotte, North Carolina. Yes. And he has a grandson, Grayson, who he and Grayson and I, the three of us, we have spent some time together.
I have plenty of pictures of them.
Then I have Marcy Wagner. She's gonna be on the planning commission. Also, Roger's gonna be on the recreation commission. And I have Amy Hollenbach. She's gonna be on the planning commission. I have Stephen Kibble. Stephen, his wife, Victoria, just recently moved in up on 4th Street. They have a beautiful 1-year-old daughter, Sarah, and he's going to be on the recreation committee. And Allison Logie. Allison Logie is a 2020 graduate of Nelsonville York High School, and she's going to be on the Parks and Rec. And the only other person I have is Reed Courtney, who's going to be on the Parks and Recs, but he couldn't be here tonight. So we have a full Parks and Recs. Casey, we have a full, that's Casey Cox. We have a full Parks and Rec, and we have a full Planning Commission. The only other group I have to work on is the Board of Zoning Appeals. So, Mr. Robe is going to swear you in and then sign and do whatever you need to do.
So with those who've been appointed to the Parks and Recreation Commission, please come step forward, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do hereby solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
and that I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of member
the duties of member
of the Nelsonville Parks and Recreation Commission,
of the Nelsonville Parks and Recreation,
to which I have been appointed.
which I have been appointed.
Congratulations. Here's sign.
I've got a pen here.
And with those who've been appointed to the Nelsonville Planning Commission, step forward, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I state your name. Do hereby solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
That I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of member
the duties of member
of the Nelsonville Planning Commission,
of the Nelsonville Planning Commission,
to which I have been appointed.
to which I have been appointed.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone who's stepped forward to serve on these commissions and committees. Thank you so much. Did everyone receive the minutes from the last regular meeting? Are there any additions or corrections? Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the October 13th meeting. Second.
Mr. Peck?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul? Yes. Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mrs. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes. Okay, auditor's treasurer's report. Mr. Malone, would you give the treasurer's report, please?
Sure. I got, good evening, everybody. I got four reports set up here, so I will get started on this, try to be brief on. First, I'll start out with June 2025. At the end of June, the ending balance was $6,800,056.06. Out of which below you can see the interest running totals month to date. June is $20,417.17. The year to date at that point was $119,752.20. With that, turn to the next page. It's just more of a record of investments, which kind of overlaps some on page one. But the total amount of invested funds at that point was $4,094,486.26. And on the next two pages are the bank and book reconciliation activity report, of which arrived at a zero balance for the month of June. And if there's no questions on June, I'll move to July. Okay. July 2025. The ending balance for the end of July was $6,845,567.35. of which the month-to-date interest is $20,694.32, of which the year-to-date at that point was $140,446.52. Okay, and over to the record of investments on the next page. The amount there on investments is $4,107,310.74. And with that, you turn over to the next two pages, again, same thing. Bank to book reconciliation, is a zero balance for the month of July. Okay, I'll move on to August. All right, for August, end of August funds are $6,890,558.60, of which running totals for interest month to date at that point was $20,656.16. Year to date, $161,102.68. On the next page goes over the record of investment. The total at the end of August was $4,120,175.43. And on the next two pages, you will have the bank to book reconciliation. Again, it's $0 fully balanced for that month. All right. And nothing for August. I'll move on to last but not least, September. Just got this finished over the last few days. That for the end of September, balance at month end was $6,939,508.05, of which the month to date interest is $19,827.41, and the year to date is $180,930.09. One of those reasons is during this month, interest rate did drop a notch. It's kind of across the board, so that explains the slight drop in interest. But on the next page is the record of investments is $4,132,624.91. And if you turn to the next page, the next two pages, I got double-sided print on that, but it has the bank and book set as zero balance as well. So it's a good 4 months, and I think that should do it for these.
Are there any questions for Mr. Malone? Okay. Motion to accept the treasurer's report for June, July, August, and September.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Mr. Peck.
Yes.
Auditor's report. At the last minute, Mr. Nick Smith, the auditor, called me and due to a personal matter could not attend tonight's meeting, and he apologizes for that. We all have the auditor's report in front of us. Should we just wait and have him give it at the next meeting, or whatever council would want to do? Okay, we'll just wait till the next meeting. We'll just wait for the next meeting. Are there any citizens' comments tonight?
I've got all good things to say tonight. First, about the utility department. I live on West Washington Street, and you know water issues can be a problem anywhere in Nelsonville. But when you live next to somebody and their water ain't even connected near yours, and who knows what's happening. Well, anyway, we had that problem with 3 of the homes there and more. And so first thing in the morning, we got Josh and Dakota from the water department out there digging a hole on by West Washington Street, trying to find where the problem was. They found out what it was, and then they had D.B. Weber Company come and fix it. That's pretty doggone good service, and we really, really appreciated it. And when D.B. Weber and Company comes, they're very friendly. They can talk and work at the same time. That's a plus. Okay, the next thing, the city manager's office, Austin and Melissa. Anytime I've had a question and have asked them, if they didn't know, they found out the answer, and that's really nice too. And I know a lot of people appreciate that happening. Then the fire department, which is saving us some money I bet you didn't know about. You know, our fire department is rated on the, is it ISO, did I get that right? Yes, ISO number, as a number 3, which is huge. Out of 10, 3 is really good. Athens with their new fire department is a 4. They're trying to meet our standards is what they're trying to do. Anyway, but the one thing I want you to know, and a lot of you don't, when you get these really, really good ratings like a number 3, many people in this city, their home insurance has gone down. One woman I know, hers went down $500 a year. That's a huge savings for the people that live here. And it's to the credit that all the good things get done for the fire department. And one of the questions when they wanted to repair an extra truck, the extra truck gives us more pull and points because it allows extra water and different things to happen in case something else breaks down. So I just think it's really nice that the fire department under Harry's guidance is trying to cover all these bases so that we individually can save money. And their professional training is really good, and the things they do for other people in other states is also exceptional. And I'm really happy to be a member of the Nelsonville community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens comments?
About thank you for all the things that she said, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, my name is Casey Cox. I live at 210 West Columbus Street. Kind of want to piggyback off that. It's awesome seeing at the beginning of this meeting all the different people wanting to get involved with the community, like joining all these different committees. So thank you, Fred, for reaching out to people and having that done. But yeah, my name is Casey Cox. I am on the Parks and Rec Committee. I joined last, I think it's been about a year now. I want to talk about like something that's on the docket for today is the Nelson Commons Playground. That was a big reason why I joined Parks and Rec Committee. I have 2 young kids, 5 and 3 years old. So I spend a lot of time at Nelson Commons, and it's in terrible shape, to put it nicely. I know if any of you guys haven't been there for any reason or another, I encourage you to check it out. I love the fact that Rocky comes in every spring and they beautify the area, put mulch in. But if you check that out and, a couple weeks later, a month later, it is overrun with weeds. And then there is equipment on the playground too that is cracked and dangerous for kids to walk on and also rusting too. And it's not accessible at all. If you go there too, with the mulch servicing, any kids in our communities that have wheelchairs cannot use our playground, right? They can come here, they can explore the park, go in the grass, but they cannot enjoy the playground like other kids can because of the way it is currently. And the playground structure itself. So with all that to be said, I still go there with my kids. That playground is daily, regular use. If anyone, we all know and are aware of the Hive and its location. Every day I drive past there, I see, at least 20 kids that are utilizing that Nelson Commons Park. And I think we can provide a better space for them and for the rest of the kids in the community as well. And also, if you drive by during the summer months too, that Nelson Commons is getting, a daily influx of people that are using Nelson Commons and using that playground. And I think we can really, again, revamp that space. So that kind of led to my plan to reach out last spring. I reached out to multiple playground companies, and that led to me kind of working with Bluegrass Recreation to get what I felt was a good playground plan for Nelson Commons. And essentially, I've talked about this a lot, so I don't want to go into too much detail, but it essentially doubles the space that we currently have because there's a big wasted grass space there. It doubles the space and it replaces the mulch with board-in-place servicing, which makes the entire playground completely accessible. For any kid that has a wheelchair or any mobility issues, they can now use that entire playground with this new plan. In the main structure, we borrowed from the Albany Inclusive Playground, which that main structure, it has a ramp all the way throughout. And since we went through the same company that Albany used, they're giving us a 50% discount if we choose to use that. So on top of that, it is great. A goal of mine with creating this was to make the playground more inclusive, because I think we welcome more people in our community, but also invite people from Athens and Logan to come to Nelsonville too. Since I actually reached out to the woman from Alexander that put that playground committee together, and I forget if it was her own child that has a disability or
Yes.
somebody in her family. Okay.
And Betty Corpy, he has, I apologize, as you can tell, I do a lot of. I believe her son has, cerebral palsy and epilepsy.
Okay, great. But so yeah, I was talking to Jennifer LaRue about this actually, and she's friends with her and was talking about how cool it would be if they could meet up in Nelsonville at this playground where her son can play on the playground. She can meet up with her friend. I've also had somebody from Logan that reached out to me that has a child with a disability and was super excited for us kind of revamping this playground to have something so close for their child to enjoy. Also on top of that too, that same person from Logan is involved with the organization of Logan, and they are looking to give away money to support causes like this. So I'm in the process of contacting them to see just how much money that will entail. But all that to be said, I think this is a great thing for the city of Nelsonville. I know the big issue that will be discussed is just the pricing and the plans, and I understand that. But I think it's important to think about how we can beautify the space, improve Nelsonville, and see what we can do to cover those funds and those costs. And there's a lot for that. I think a lot of communities, or sorry, not communities, but companies and organizations in our community will want to bridge that gap to help us bridge that gap, because it will benefit first and foremost the kids in this town and the families, and it will attract families here too, which we all want young families to come to Nelsonville. I think the tourism is a great aspect of it, but that's more of a secondary issue for me. I think we focused on how this is great for our community, but also too, like say, it's a pretty, I don't want to say touristy part of Nelsonville, but we have Rocky, Starbrick, we have Black Diamond. We also have a new restaurant opening up too. So I think the more activity there, the more better looking things that can improve our community, the better for us as a whole. So yeah, the last thing I do want to say with regards to this, and I'll open up if any of you have questions. I know you guys are going to talk about it later. But as I'm reaching out to these companies and organizations, I've reached out to a couple, but obviously having city council's backing will help strengthen my pitch to these companies, knowing that we are committed with this as a town, for just any funds that they want to put forward. Again, like to have that on my, in my pocket to just say, hey, we're all in on this together. I think that would be a great strength for us. So yeah, I just want to encourage you guys to, there's just kind of, my thought process behind that. But before I sit down, if anybody has any questions for me, since I was the one that kind of worked Bluegrass Recreation for these plans, you're more than welcome to ask them, and I will answer them to the best of my ability.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? So we do have the legislation tonight, so I'm sure we'll have more discussion at that time.
Sounds perfect.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Are there any business and organizational comments? Committee discussions. Any committees meet since the last council meeting? I'll start. The Planning and Development Committee met. We just received updates on 3 items: zoning citywide, code enforcement on rental registrations, and we discussed briefly the vacant property update. There was really no action taken. We just to get an update on those 3 items. I believe Park and Rec Committee met also.
Which I think Casey just kind of covered.
That's
Yeah.
what you just spoke about, is literally what we covered there, and we forwarded the motion to council here.
Correct. And then the Finance Committee met.
Yes, we went over 2026 budget updates provided by the city auditor. At this point, most funds are He's been able to project, them being in balance at the start of next year. However, the general fund and the sewer fund are going to take some more work, so we're gonna return to that next week. We had a brief discussion on creating a separate fund, for legal expenses that are unrelated to the city attorney's work. However, we did not, choose to, take any action on that idea at this time. And we also discussed, the purchase of a wood chipper, an idea brought forth by, the city manager. And we will see some legislation tonight that came out of that discussion.
Thank you. And I believe the utility committee met. Mr. Flowers?
Utility?
Yeah, the utility committee met last week. Discussed the water bill.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I must have passed out there. We discussed the, changing the nomenclature on the water bill to, utility bill rather than water bill, because it includes water, sewer, and trash. So, we passed that along to the council to look at.
We did find out that, the blanks for those bills have been printed or ordered, and I think they have a supply to like June or July of next summer. So if we decide to change that, we'll want to use those up first, because they are pretty expensive. So, okay, that's it.
Well, we don't actually have a water bill as per se. If you look at the receipt that's sent out every month to every citizen, it is a utility invoice. So as far as a set water bill, we don't have. So, I mean, for people saying water bill, sewer, there's a sewer, it's on the utility bill is the biggest thing, is the utility invoice. So we get charged for each individual thing, not that it's all clamped onto the water bill, just the water bill.
Yeah, I think the discussion is to look at identifying that it is a utility bill a little more, laid out than what it currently is.
Right, everybody wants to say it's a water bill, but it's not our, but like I say, if you look at it, read it, it's an invoice for the utility bill.
Yeah.
Is what it's for. So it's for the utilities that we provide service for to the community. So everybody is fighting this about water bill and everything. No, it's not water bill, it's utility. Very, so that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you. Department updates. I'm not sure who's up this time. I see Chief Barber's here. Okay.
All right, I wasn't able to attend the last finance committee meeting, but I was able to watch that meeting on YouTube later. So I'd like to address some comments that were made regarding apparatus maintenance costs and comments that were made in reference to the possibility of selling a fire truck. So I'm gonna give you a brief description that emphasizes why we have the specific equipment and apparatus we have and strict training policies that we have in place now. So we talked about ISO and Joanne stole my thunder here. So we've been very fortunate. We've had 2 ISO audits since I was sworn in 2014. One in 2018 and one in mid 2024. Usually those Audits take place every 5 to 7 years. We have successfully, since I have restructured the department, been able to have lower audits on both of these ratings, 2018 and 24. We are in class 3 now, which is huge bragging rights for the city of Nelsonville. Only 10% of the fire departments in the nation are a class 3 ISO. It takes a lot of work on the administration side of it. So what changes, we want to look at some changes here, and I want to explain some of the process, some of the madness, if you will, behind getting us to where we are now. Since swearing in, these changes have taken place. Training and education hours have drastically been increased. Examples would include mandatory existing and new driver training for all firefighters, all members of the department, hazardous materials training. We added the addition of additional fire safety inspectors, additional swiftwater rescue technician certifications for firefighters, additional road rescue operation certifications. We have additional fire instructors as well as live fire instructors, which are 2 specific certifications. And we've had added facilities training. Facilities training would coincide with training at different departments or different training facilities, different fire academies, and things like off-site training. Certification levels that are held by the Nelsonville Fire Department members play a vital role in keeping community safe and the ISO ratings down. On top of that, response capabilities and what we can offer are studied and rated as well. Examples would be equipment and apparatus capabilities. These have been improved. This includes adding a reserve apparatus. The addition of the new Rosenbauer, which is new 2051, gave us another responsive frontline truck, which meant that the Rosenbauer that we currently have is going to the second out vehicle, second out apparatus. The new truck carries more water and is a newer truck, which again buys us ISO points. I never thought I would be living in this numbers game that I've been playing as the chief, but this is what it takes to get us where we are. Maintenance for current equipment. We now have an annual maintenance plan for all large apparatus. That's something that we didn't have in place before I came here. Annual pump testing, annual ladder testing, hydrant testing programs, hose testing programs. When I took over in 2014, just having NFPA compliant fire safety gear was questionable. So other times it wasn't there. One area that fire departments are rated is manpower response stats. So we're graded on how many firefighters are on the first out engine. So that goes to looks at our staffing, looks at our amount of firefighters that we have on shift that can respond immediately to a fire call. How many engines are responding initially? So how many engines or apparatus we can get up to immediately? How much water can immediately leave the station and get its apparatus? How many firefighters are on scene within a certain time frame? Annual property loss. So every time I do an audit, we look at every estimated property loss in the city of Nelsonville due to structure fires. We're rating on that as well. Increased fire protection or fire prevention education to the public. Fire prevention is huge with ISO, and we now have a fire prevention program every year. Myself and my crew members actually interact with all of the students at Nelsonville York Elementary School, K through 5th grade. Every classroom, every student, they receive the same fire prevention lesson, same statement and same teaching. We do that year round. We also do that with the other schools as well. So every department's action or lack of action is studied and graded. Every apparatus, tools, and equipment is evaluated during these ISO audits. Just after the latest ISO rating that we just received, again, Joanne stole my thunder. My office has been approached and called by numerous members of the community. One that stuck out to me was a member of the community that brought me a declaration page for her homeowner's insurance policy. So I just want you to see this. It's a $500 reduction annually on her homeowner's insurance. So just by the daily operations of the fire department and the equipment that we have, whether that's operational ready, that's ready to respond, based on the census levels for 1 and 2 family dwellings in the city of Nelsonville, is the potential savings of the community. If I did nothing more than what we're doing right now, just that, is a potential savings of $484,000 a year on people's homeowners insurance. So I want to explain a little bit of why we have what we have, why we do what we do. Apparatus maintenance does cost. It does. And let's face it, if they say it's for a fire department, it's even more expensive. That's the game. That's what we deal with. If you look at replacing vehicles at $1.2 million to $2.5 million per vehicle, the cost of maintaining what we have, and we're very lucky to have what we have, but the cost of maintaining what we have is a drop in the bucket compared to preserving life and property and keeping the truck on the road versus buying a new truck. That's all I have for my update. As far as run stats or anything goes, firefighter spent this entire weekend, this past weekend, road operations classes, Saturday and Sunday. And the same firefighters from my department, along with the Chancery Fire Department, will spend next weekend, the full weekend training as well. That's all I've got for my report.
Are there any questions for Chief Barber?
What's the highest rating? Well, I mean, we're a 3.
Yes.
What's the, Athens, she said Athens to the 4. Does
Well,
it go up?
we're definitely not going to compare ourselves to other departments. We've got a very good relationship with that. The best rating is a 1, and the worst would be a 10.
Oh, really? And you said other schools when you did the fire prevention training?
Yeah, so we do a lot of fire prevention for the Head Start classes. And other.
You go to the Tri-County?
Yes. Yeah, we do for some prevention through the Tri-County program, and some of us are actually instructors for the Tri-County program as well.
I like it.
Any other questions for Chief Barber?
Yeah, Chief, is there any way that you could put out a report like the police officers do about the different runs and different things you do throughout, weekly, like they do on Facebook and stuff, so our citizens could actually see what's happening behind the scenes?
Well, we could issue run stats, but it's not going to be the police department's run stats. We had run lines with the police department did, we wouldn't have a city left. And most of our runs are in our schools.
Well, like I say, but I know that people would like to see what, kind of say, okay, where's our money going? We understand, we hear the sirens going off,
Right.
but did anything happen at that? Well, we're saying equipment maintenance, but do we use equipment at the scene? Do we show up and it was false alarm or what, to see exactly what kind of usage we're getting out of the equipment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can probably put something together, but it's not going to be as detailed as the police department. Run stats.
Yeah, you don't have a fire every hour or 2 hours or 3
In
hours.
fire service, structure fires is 10% of the job now. Most of the job now, honestly, is EMS.
Yeah,
Well, I know other communities, they'll put out a fire, fire and police run, or matter of fact, some of them even put out ambulance run.
Yeah, we could throw something together, but sometimes that's.
I think our citizens would appreciate it. To see exactly what's happening. Just like we do with the police reports and stuff like
Well, if
that.
I have time to do it, I will. I don't have a secretary or assistant working there.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Barber. Okay, law director's report, Mr. Rowe. I'm sorry. Oh, I did. Yeah, jump up.
How do you forgive me? I don't have a lot. We'll start off with, we are going to start leaf collections next week. You can use text my gov or email into, it's always been to the administrative assistant, to Michelle. Then email into her, call into here and get it scheduled. We'll do it from 8 to 3 and start next Monday. Drew up a nice little map for y'all today, if you can see it back here.
So this is what we're doing with our time now.
So there's gonna be a couple of, or at least one change order on this water project. If you can see these little circles here, those are valves that were not on the project. There's an 8-inch, an 8-inch, a 4-inch, and a 10-inch. When they're gonna tie into the darker blue is the existing main, the light blues, the new that has been put in. To tie this 4-inch end coming across and this 8-inch end, this valve broke. There was a 4-inch valve over here that broke when we tried to shut it off. And this 8-inch valve broke when we tried to shut it off. So we had new valves put in there. So that way the water can be shut off. And they're bringing 6-inch off. They're gonna choke it up to an 8 there, down to a 4 here, but they're teeing it for existing. If we ever come back to it in the future and come across the square, there's already a tee there, and there's valves on both sides. So if we have a leak, the more valves we put in, there's 22 valves just on this section of this project. Everything so we can isolate areas. I know Logan ran into some issues a few weeks ago. There was a leak, and they had to shut a bunch of the town off to fix this because of broken valves. And I know they've had some issues with the EPA over it. We're trying to avoid that. I mean, we've had water projects going on for a few years now, and this is how most of them go. You don't usually see pictures, and this valve right here, when they cut it out, it was done live. And the machine goes on it and it cuts it out, and it cuts out what they call a cookie, which is that. So that's what the inside of the water line is.
The water line?
That was in the water line.
So this is why we replaced lines.
Now, where is that this year?
This is Washington Street,
Okay,
Franklin, the square,
right,
Lucky Way.
gotcha, okay, right.
And we added 2 hydrants. I don't know if anybody's noticed up on the square where the central school bell's at. We added a hydrant up in there, back in the back corner, right out by 4th Street.
Right.
Because there was none there. I got with Harry. Since we were running a new 6-inch up through there, we decided to put one in there, And then down here at the corner of Adams and Canal Street. So there was never really a water line running down Adams Street from Washington to Canal. It was an 1.5-inch line that fed 4 houses. So we decided to upgrade, and then we put a hydrant at the end, and they could all run off a 6-inch.
They're working up there now.
Give us another hydrant. Yeah. That's all I got, unless y'all got some questions.
Yeah, I have a question. It's kind of an afterthought at this point, I guess. But with all the events we have on the square, and some of them require water, did we upgrade anything for those, like vendors that require water?
There was never, we don't have anything up there for that anyway.
Okay,
We've got a line running over to the fountain, to the center, which I would like to, and I've discussed it with Fred. I would like to get some irrigation on the square.
Yeah.
Because we have water out there and it can be set to where it kicks on like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's got to worry about getting wet, and they can plant flowers. And another thing I brought up to Fred was where the fountain was taken to be refurbished. I was talking to Mike Freer in the pool at the bottom. He poured in 1982. And there is a leak in there somewhere we're gonna have to find. I suggested we tear the pool out, replumb the whole thing, re-pour the pool. That's been Nelsonville's issue for a long time. We only half did stuff right. If we're gonna take the fountain out and redo it, let's redo it all. So then that way it's good for another 40 to 50 years and we don't have to worry about it. I mean, here we've got a leak, we could jackhammer it up, find it, put a little bit of concrete in there. But then the concrete's gonna start eventually fading off. It's 43 years old. Why don't we do it all at once? We've got till spring to get pulled in, and then that's something we don't have to worry about.
I did glance at that the other day, and it really has deteriorated. You didn't notice it till after you took out the fountain.
And it's only gonna get worse. I mean,
Right.
it was poured in 1982. And Mike Fair poured it himself.
Mr. Cohen, is that something that you think that you guys can do in-house, or is it something you'd look to bring
I
someone to do?
don't think that we've got enough concrete experience in-house. You're right, this concrete was gonna give me a quote on redoing it.
Nice.
If we can get a quote on redoing it, we can tear it out. And like I suggested to Fred today, maybe get with Steve Cox, the Bread Foundation. They take care of the home. And they pay Mike to take care of it. Maybe if we got everything tore out, Mike could come in and do the plumbing part of it, and then we can have a report. And then everything's new.
I agree, that's something we should look at. Any questions for Mr. Cohen?
And just to reiterate, next Monday is leaf collection starts.
We're gonna start Monday. I'm gonna have, Dan Piper put out an
Announced. Perfect.
announcement no later than Wednesday.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Now we're ready for,
Council President, could we talk about the signs before we do that?
if you want to do that now, that's fine.
Yes, I'd love to do that now.
Okay.
Austin was not here last time, so we are gonna talk about the signs. You want to talk, you want me to talk? You go ahead. You go ahead and then I'll follow up. Okay. You want to read this?
Yeah, you can read, you're probably better read than me.
All right.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
A couple updates from me. I don't have my actual report because it's not due until next month, but showed up tonight, let everybody know that a couple of demolitions going on, and then we contracted out the sustainable lawn care, and we got 902 Chestnut mowed, 525 Patton, and 187 Watkins. Some of the hardest places around here that need mowed are completely mowed now. So if you're in the area, go take a look at it. It looks pretty good. It could be better because some of the structures are, they need demolished, but gotta wait for Land Bank to take them, and then gives them time to get funding, which takes years, and sometime they will get demolished. And then I guess we'll move on to the signs. Fred?
All right.
Come on up.
I will. Now, these signs are signs that often taken down in what, the last 30 days?
2 weeks maybe.
2 weeks at that. I want to read something here to you because recently was a big concern about signs. It had nothing to do with political signs. It had to do with the signs that we look at every day. This is a document that we found. It said Nelsonville Code Enforcement Office reminds residents of city ordinances that outline rules for yard and garage sales. City of Nelsonville Code Enforcement Office wants to make the residents of Nelsonville aware that there is a city ordinance that outlines the rules for yard and or garage sales in the city of Nelsonville. We have listed those rules below. No more than 4 sales per year. Sales can be no more than 3 days in duration. Sales can start as early as 8 o'clock a.m. and run during daylight hours only. Signs advertising the sale can be erected on the premises or on the public right-of-way adjacent to the property. Signs cannot be posted off-site or on utility poles, public utilities such as traffic control panels, or on private property, except with the permission of the property owner. Signs need to be removed after 24 hours at the end of the sale. Sale merchandise is limited to household and personal items, and shall not include separately obtained or purchased items or merchandise where the sale of such items could be construed as business activity or otherwise construed a business use required to be located in a commercial or industrial zone district. Please contact Becky Barber, Code Enforcement Officer, if you have any questions and or concerns, 740-753-1314, or administration@cityofnelsonville.com. This is dated July of 2020. Now, you can see how unattractive these signs make the council chamber. They're just as unattractive in the city. And we deal with this. particularly with signs being put up on utility poles where they put nails in them. You've got utility workers climbing them and getting injured and hurt. So we do have a sign ordinance, and we work very, very hard to keep our city looking nice. And this was just an example of how these signs were in the city. That's where they came from. So, any questions on the sign ordinance? Yes.
Could I have a copy of what you just read, please? Thank you.
One other point while I'm here, Jason, we're starting to take trees down tomorrow.
Yes. Starting on Washington Street. Over by Joanne's house where the Sagan's Hardware truck went around the real close sign and hit the tree and killed it. They're gonna start there. And he's got a list of
This big.
he's got a list of trees he's gonna work on for next week.
Any,
I believe we have.
I just had a question on that. How hard would it be to take Becky Barber's name on and put the correct name? Is it require a big ordinance or something?
no, we can do that. That's not-
That was just an announcement she said back in 2020 because this is not the first time we've had a sign problem, and it's not the first time that people complain about potential political signs either. We do have a sign ordinance. That was back in 2020. She was just putting out to the public, letting people know, notifying them. It's not the first time we've ever had this, issue, with political signs. So I'm not sure who's saying that this is the first time. It's been an issue in the past. But I think it was just, taken the wrong way. I think that the city was just trying to inform people on their website or on their Facebook page or whatever of what the ordinances are. So I think it's just taken out of context. I appreciate you putting it out though.
Dan Piper's the one who put that information out. And he does that, for instance, he puts out information about Halloween, but he does it around Halloween. Same with the political sign. That should be put out during the political season. So it wasn't intended toward anybody. And then one other point I want to make here, if I may, is Amy still here?
Amy's still here.
Amy, you have a store to run, right?
I do.
Okay. Your store is somewhere down here.
Yep, right at the corner of Columbus and the square.
If we have a water leak right here and we isolate it and we don't have to turn your water off, you can keep operating.
I would be super happy about that.
But that's the whole purpose of isolation.
Isolation, yeah.
Because there was a time, and I think a lot of you can remember, when we had a water leak, half the city got shut down. And everybody complained, but there wasn't anything, in order to turn the water off, you had to shut half the city down. So these valves are vitally important to the overall operation of the city.
We had a leak about 2.5 years ago on Jefferson Street, and we pretty much had to shut the town down.
Did you have a question?
Yes, well, when these trees are felled, is there any ordinance that they must be replaced? Because at this rate, we're gonna be a treeless city.
I believe the trees that are being taken out are for the project, correct? No?
Dead ones.
Dead ones, okay.
We do have a tree commission, and after we get them out, we can have them meet. But a lot of these trees they're dead. There was a sidewalk up on Short Street, was it? It was this one. Scott Street, I'm sorry, Scott Street. But a lot of these trees, they are not, I'm sorry, they've reached the end of their life. And we need to take them out and, there's one. And then we'll look about planting some new ones. Yes. But there's not an ordinance for that.
Thank you. Law Director's report, Mr. Rule.
Yes, I provided,
council members the letter the city received, the memo the city received from the city's insurance carrier. The city manager and I met, I think I made one mistake in my email to the council. We did not meet on the 13th, we met on the 9th. But anyway, the PEP representative, we had a good 2-hour-long conversation or thereabouts. And as a result of that, the PEP representative submitted a letter with 18 recommendations for actions that the city should take to address its risk profile. 3 of them are new, and 15 of them are old, dating back to as far back as 2020, that the insurance carrier is still waiting to hear from the city when they will be implemented. I have thoroughly reviewed the recommendations. I think the city should immediately implement each and every one of them. Some of them, at least one of them has already been implemented. The mayor's court clerk is now bonded. That just needs to the city just needs to report that to PEP. That was done earlier this year. I believe some of the other ones, there may be in progress. Some of them can be done immediately. Some involve just recommendations for individual members of council to take action with respect to things. For example, one of the recommendations is that each member of council take the Sunshine Law training. The law does not require that. The law only requires that council have a representative take it, so that you could have someone who's not on council be the representative for all the members of council take it, and not the individual members of council. That's all that's required for compliance with the law. But PEP is going farther and saying, hey, we actually think that each individual council member should individually take the training. I think that's a good recommendation and best practices. So I would commend these recommendations to the council. I think they should be implemented as soon as possible. Again, some of them can be implemented more quickly than others. Some at no cost, some there will be almost certainly some cost associated with it. But I think that's going to be money well spent, because PEP is looking for concrete actions by the city to help, shall we say, govern and address the city's risk profile. Not everything that affects that can be done by the city, but these are things that the city can do, actions that the city can take that directly impact that in a positive way. And I think each of these can be done. I will say the city manager is already working on some of the ones that require kind of a citywide response. He's working on putting together a proposal, so I would anticipate at next council meeting he will be proposing several items of legislation to ensure implementation of certain of the recommendations. I don't know if council has any more questions about that. I can't go into complete detail on some issues, but in terms of general response to general questions, I'm certainly available.
So I have a question. So we're currently trying to put together an HR policy that would go a long way. It looks like addressing some of these issues.
Yes, and that's one thing that the PEP rep and the city manager discussed, was that she was pleased to hear that the city is putting together the HR plan. PEP does have resources to assist with that as well. And so once we have the HR plan in place, it probably would be advisable just to have periodic, not necessarily once a year, but maybe biannually, to have the city just touch base with PEP regarding the HR manual. Ask PEP, hey, are there any change in the law that you're aware of that would necessitate change to the HR policy? Basically, one of the things that she stressed during the meeting was she's concerned about keeping the channels of communication open between the city and the town. And so that's something I think that there should be a regular checking in, so to speak, with even if there's not an update, just saying, hey, we don't have anything to update. That's a good thing. They don't want to have updates, but they are available, not just in terms of managing risk, but in helping to proactively control situations that can give rise to future risk. So that's why all of these recommendations are well put.
Well, most of these will be covered if we get an HR department in.
Yes.
And everything set up with the employee handbook,
Yes.
was what I'm going through, that 90% of them. There's only a couple on the outside, and then there's a few in there that we already do,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, there currently is an employee handbook, but I'm sure it probably needs updated. And approve more than just saying we have an employee handbook.
Well, if we get an HR department, when and if, we should redo a new employee handbook with all the guidelines, all the information, required training, and all, basically everything that's covered.
So I have a question about the employee handbook since it's been brought up. What sort of risk does it put the city at if we have infractions in the employee handbook and it's not handled within the city? Does that put extra liability on us?
Yeah, if you have policies and procedures, you're supposed to follow them. And if you don't, that can have adverse effects, particularly if you treat one person one way, not following the procedures, and then you have a future situation with another individual, and then you try to be like, oh, well, we gotta follow the book. And, I mean, even if the city winds up winning, it's the litigation, even if the city winds up winning, you have already lost credibility because of your disparate treatment of similarly situated individuals. So, I mean, the whole point of having policies and procedures and rules and regulations is that you follow them.
I'm just curious if it puts an additional risk.
So in 2023, I believe it was ordinance 5523, we passed council rules and code of conduct. It was voted on and approved. There was one councilman that voted no. But then there was a council elected after that who part of that ordinance was you had to sign those rules, and they refused to do so. So it kind of goes along with, and I know that didn't fall under this necessarily, but it just goes to show that the rules should be followed by everybody. So, any other, do you have anything else, Mr. Brooke?
Yes, so I don't know if everyone saw that, in the current litigation involving the city, involving ordinance 5425 last week, the court did deny the plaintiff's motion for a preliminary injunction. I was frankly surprised that the decision came out when it did. I was actually expecting to be mid to late November when it came out. The result, though, was not particularly surprising. You have to be careful with how to read the judicial tea leaves when it comes to a preliminary injunction and how it might impact the final resolution on the merits. Or in the ordinary case, when there's a motion for preliminary injunction, the plaintiff can lose on the preliminary injunction, but wind up winning the case at the end, simply because of the operation of standards of proof. Most cases, it's preponderance of the evidence, which is just a nick above 50%. The standard for getting a preliminary injunction is clear and convincing evidence. Now, we know about preponderance, right above 50%. We know about beyond a reasonable doubt in the criminal case. Clear and convincing, it's not well defined, but somewhere in between those two, okay? So if a plaintiff files a court case and asks for a preliminary injunction, the court will apply this higher standard to the preliminary injunction analysis than it will to the final adjudication on the merits. So that's why a plaintiff can lose in the ordinary case, lose a motion for preliminary injunction, but at the end of the day, win the case. Here's what's interesting to me about this current case regarding Ordinance 5425 is it's not an ordinary case. That logic doesn't apply. Here's why. That lawsuit is seeking a declaration from the court that Ordinance 5425 is unconstitutional. Well, the standard of proof required for that is beyond a reasonable doubt. It's higher than the standard for the preliminary injunction. So I think the reason the court issued that ruling when it did, I think it's sending a signal to the parties, the city, the public at large, that it's going to likely rule against the plaintiff and the city's safer at the end of the day. Because if the claim can't pass the clear and convincing standard, it can't pass beyond the reasonable doubt standard. And again, this is not the ordinary case because that normally is not the case. Because in the ordinary civil case, it's preponderance of the evidence, not beyond the reasonable doubt. Obviously, the court hasn't told us definitively. The court was very careful to say, hey, look, Nelsonville filed an answer in this case. I have to look at the answer before I rule on the merits. But I just wanted to let the council know, let the public know that given the unusual timing of that denial, I think that that reason, if I'm right, would explain why the court issued its ruling when it did, rather than wait, because it could have just waited next month, December or something, and just resolved everything, the motion, the merits, everything all at once, which is what I was expecting it to do. So it's hard to say where that goes, but I do think that's I think that's a signal that the court is sending. Beyond that, I can't really comment on the litigation publicly other than this. But if you have any general questions, I'm available, but that's all.
Are there any questions for Mr. Rowe? Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to ordinances, we have one for second reading, ordinance 6725.
An ordinance amending the 2025 appropriations ordinance. Whereas the 2025 appropriations need to be amended. Whereas appropriations of $118,000 to the general fund 100-100-10010 salary and wages to address a police department salary shortfall if necessary. Whereas appropriations of $1,974.50 to the general fund 100-200-40010 operating supplies, reflecting CAP and RCIF grant awards to the fire department respectively is necessary. Whereas appropriations of $9,345.33 to general fund 100-200-50012 fire department for vehicle maintenance, which is $2,845.33 to replace CAD bushing on engine 2053 and $6,500 to restore the water pump on engine 2052. Both based on quotes received from Patton's Truck Repair and Logan as necessary. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The 2025 appropriations ordinance is amended to reappropriate from previously appropriated funds to the following funds. Appropriations in the sum of $118,000 from the unappropriated balance of the general fund line item 100-100-10010, salary and wages. Appropriations in the sum of $1,974.50 from the unappropriated balance of the general fund to line item 100-200-40010, operating supplies. Appropriations in the sum of $9,345.33 from the unappropriated balance of the general fund to line item 100-200-50012, vehicle maintenance. The total unappropriated balance is decreased by said amount. The total appropriations in each respective fund mentioned above are increased by said amount. The city auditor is hereby authorized to submit changes to the city's certificate of resources pursuant to this ordinance to the Athens County Budget Commission. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately upon its adoption pursuant to section 4.11 of Nelsonville City Charter, as this ordinance provides for appropriations for current expenses. Duly enacted by council on second reading the 27th day of October 2025.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Any citizens' comments?
If you don't have it, I can get it from my office, but at the last meeting, remember, we were $973, I think, shy.
Yeah, I was waiting for council discussion, but thank you. I don't have that on me. Could you provide that so we can amend it? Okay. Thank you.
Do we need to table this?
We do have that shortfall, it's $973 on the amount. I can get that figure from my office now, and we can make the.
I would recommend let's table it so to give the fire chief time to get the numbers and then by the time
I'd like to make a motion to table ordinance 6725 until later in this meeting.
I'll second.
Ready for roll call? Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf? Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Yes. Ordinance 6825, if someone would like to introduce it.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you. And ordinance authorizing the city manager to promulgate rules and regulations for the city's public utilities. Whereas Title 50 of Nelsonville City Code sets forth the law governing the city's public utilities. Whereas council finds it expedient and necessary to authorize the city manager to promulgate such rules and regulations as are necessary to establish a set of forms to implement Title 5 of the Nelsonville Code of Ordinances, Public Utility, not inconsistent with the provisions of Title 5. Whereas council finds it is necessary and expedient and in the best interest of the city to authorize the city manager to promulgate such rules, subject to the oversight and final decision of council. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. City manager shall have full authority to promulgate and publish rules and regulations to prescribe a set of forms necessary to implement Title 5 of the Nelsonville Code of Ordinances, Public Utilities, not inconsistent with the provisions of Title 5. Such rules and regulations shall have the force of law. Such rules and regulations shall include without limitation rules and regulations for the water system, sanitary sewer system, storm sewer systems, garbage, and recycling. The city manager shall prescribe the form by which the city shall issue any bill for services to its public utility customers, and the city manager shall prescribe the form by which any public utility customer may dispute a public utility charge. Prior to any such rules and regulations going into effect, the city manager shall present any proposed rule or regulation to council. Council shall have 30 days to consider the proposed rules and regulations. Council, by a majority vote of all members, may overturn any such proposed rule or regulation, in which case such proposed rule or regulation shall not go into effect. council by a majority vote of all members may waive the provisions of the section. This ordinance shall be codified in Nelsonville City Code of Ordinances at 50.07 Rules and Regulations. Council hereby finds and determines that all formal actions taken relative to the adoption of this ordinance were taken in an open meeting of the Nelsonville City Council, and that all deliberations of council and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action, were taken in meetings open to the public in full compliance with applicable legal requirements. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect at the earliest time permitted by law, duly enacted by council on second reading the 10th day of November 2025.
Okay, this is the first reading of this ordinance, but is there any council discussions or questions?
I just have one thing.
This time I'll look into it better. Okay.
In the title, where it says formulate, that's missing the G. It's promulgate, it's correct everywhere else.
Okay.
I'll change that, thank you.
Ordinance for first reading, 6925, if someone would like to introduce it.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and enter into an Ohio EPA water supply revolving loan account, WSRLA agreement on behalf of the city of Nelsonville for design of the water system improvements phase 3 project and designating a dedicated repayment source for loan financing. Whereas by ordinance 19-23 and ordinance 35-24, council authorized the city manager to apply for an Ohio EPA water supply revolving loan account for which the city subsequently applied. Whereas the city of Nelsonville seeks to design the water system improvement phase 4 project. Whereas council finds it necessary and proper to use WSRLA loan financing for the project. Whereas the Ohio EPA requires the government authority to pass legislation to apply for loan financing and the execution of an agreement, as well as designating a dedicated repayment source for loan financing. Whereas the city's engineer has recommended the city pursue WSRLA loan financing, and council finds following the city engineer's recommendation is in the best interest of the city. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. Council finds it is necessary to complete the design of the water system improvement phase 4 project for the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the city of Nelsonville. Council finds it is necessary to apply for design financing from the Ohio EPA water supply revolving loan account. City manager of the city of Nelsonville is hereby authorized to request from the Ohio EPA water supply revolving loan account the financing required to complete the design of the project. The method of repayment of design financing from the Ohio EPA water supply revolving loan account shall be water revenues generated from Nelsonville water customers. The council hereby finds that this ordinance was adopted in a meeting open to the public as required by applicable law. This ordinance shall be in full force at the earliest time permitted by law. Duly enacted by council on second reading the 10th day of November 2025.
Okay, this is the first reading, but is there any council discussion?
I have a question, I have a couple questions. I guess first, I wasn't around, for ordinance 1923 and 3524. Were those for previous phases of the project?
Yes, the title of 1625 should actually say phase 4, not phase 3. Yeah. It says phase 4 throughout. 3524 is for phase 3. I believe 1923 was for phase 2, might be for phase 1 and 2, but I think it was for phase 2.
Okay.
And any other questions? Right. Ordinance for first reading, 7025, if someone would like to introduce it.
I'll introduce it.
An ordinance amending the 2025 appropriations ordinance, whereas the 2025 appropriations need to be amended. Whereas appropriations of $34,563 to capital improvement fund 600-600-700-10, equipment to purchase a Vermeer DC 900 XL brush chipper is necessary. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The 2025 appropriations ordinance is amended to reappropriate for previously appropriated funds to the following funds. Appropriations in the sum of $34,563 from the unappropriated balance of the capital improvement fund to line item 600-600-700-10, large equipment. The total of unappropriated balance is decreased by said amount. The total appropriations in each respective fund mentioned above are increased by said amount. The city auditor is hereby authorized to submit changes to the city certificate of resources pursuant to this ordinance to Athens County Budget Commission. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately upon its adoption pursuant to section 4.11 of Nelsonville City Charter, as this ordinance provides for appropriations for current expenses. Duly enacted by council on second reading the 10th day of November 2025.
Okay, this is the first reading, but is there any council discussion or questions? I do have one question. If this wood chipper is to be used at the water plant, sewer plant, could it be split between the purchase of it between the water fund, sewer fund, and capital improvement fund?
If it's being used for the benefit of the water and sewer system, then the use of water and sewer funds to purchase it would not be inappropriate.
Would that mean like clearing the brush at the water and sewer plants?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so when the service directors here, Mr. Cohen, so when brush is cut at those two facilities, the wood chipper obviously could be used to take care of that.
Right now, we bring everything in here. The fire department used to bring it, and there's regulations and stuff that you don't know. We have some extremely large files out back. As we speak now.
You want us to change that to?
I'm throwing it out there as a proposal to change it to splitting the purchase between those three funds.
In what proportions?
1/3 each.
Without being able to consult the auditor on that at this particular moment.
Okay, so this is the first reading. We'll have a
Yeah.
finance committee meeting next week.
Okay,
We could add it to the agenda for that, look into it.
perfect.
Thank you. That's all right. Thank you.
Has the
City had a brush chipper like this before and it fell into disrepair, or is this the first time we're purchasing a equipment like this? We've never had one, okay.
Okay. Ordinance 7125, if someone would like to introduce it.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to hire part-time secretarial staff for the city boards and commissions and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city manager recommends council hire a part-time secretarial to serve the various boards and commissions of the city. Whereas council finds it appropriate to authorize the city manager to hire new part-time secretarial staff for the various boards and commissions of the city. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. City council hereby authorizes the city manager to hire a new part-time secretarial staff for various boards and commissions of the city at a monthly salary of $300 per month. The city manager is hereby authorized to execute any necessary new hire paperwork to hire a new part-time secretarial staff. Council hereby appropriates such funds as are sufficient from the general fund to pay for the salary of the new part-time secretarial staff. Council hereby finds and determines that all formal actions taken relative to the adoption of this ordinance were taken in an open meeting of the Nelsonville City Council, and that all deliberations of council and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action, were taken in meetings open to the public in full compliance with applicable legal requirements. 5 members of council voting to dispense with the 2 readings of this ordinance. The rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted on first reading pursuant to ORC 731.15 and Nelsonville City Charter sections 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance is hereby passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30 and Article 4, Section 4.09 through 4.11 of the Nelsonville City Charter as an emergency in the operation of the city government, as the various boards and commissions of the city are in need of secretarial staff for their meetings and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city. And this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading the 27th day of October, 2025.
Motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Any council discussion on suspension? Clerk, call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Mr. Peck,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Are there any citizens' comments?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you're going to hire one person to handle all of the commissions and boards, is that correct?
Yes. Any council discussion?
I have a question, for Mr. Holmes. When we discussed this, in finance committee, you put forth the idea of paying, $2,500 a year, estimating about $50 a meeting. Are you expecting the staffer to be working more than you thought at that time?
I think it will be. We're just now getting our board commissions back running. So I think once we get everyone up and running, I think they will be running, operating more than that.
Okay,
So, I support the increase in the salary.
okay. Thank you.
Any other council discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Peck,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul.
Yes.
Ordinance 7125 passes. Ordinance 7225, if someone would like to introduce it.
So introduced.
An ordinance directing the city manager to identify funding sources to purchase new playground equipment for Nelsonville Commons Park and to plan for a renovation of Nelsonville Commons Park. Whereas park projects, including the recent Nelsonville Dog Park, beautify the city and make the city an attractive place for families to come visit and live so they can use the various parks within the city. Whereas Nelsonville Commons Park is in need of a new playground equipment. Whereas the city manager recommends to council that a new park project be undertaken to renovate Nelsonville Commons Park and to install new playground equipment to Nelsonville Commons Park. Whereas council finds the city manager's recommendation is in the best interest of the city and the project to renovate
make sure
Nelsonville
that the
Commons Park should commence as soon as practicable so that families in the city may use and enjoy a renovated park with new park equipment. Whereas Bluegrass Recreation Sales and Installation have already indicated a willingness to assist the city with the project to renovate Nelsonville Commons Park. Whereas council finds it expedient to direct the city manager to identify appropriate funding sources to fund the renovation of Nelsonville Commons Park and to install the new playground equipment. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. Council hereby authorizes the city manager to begin planning for the renovation of Nelsonville Commons Park in accordance with the proposal submitted to the city by Bluegrass Recreation Sales and Installation, a copy of which is attached here too as Exhibit A. Council hereby finds the city manager, council hereby directs the city manager to identify any appropriate funding source, including appropriate grants and financing, to fund the renovation of Nelsonville Commons Park and to add new playground equipment. City council hereby finds that this ordinance was adopted in an open meeting of the public, to the public as required by applicable law. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect at the earliest time permitted by law. Duly enacted by council on second reading the 10th day of November, 2025.
Okay, again, this is the first reading, but is there any council discussion?
Can I ask a question, Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Hi. Last time this was discussed, you seem to have some ideas of banks and funding institutions to approach. I just wondered if you had any updates that you'd be comfortable sharing with the public at this time.
I've spoken with the bank and was made aware of what's called Community Reinvestment Act. Banks are required by loaning to governments and nonprofits. They get points. Some of those points are needed for their recertification. The one bank that I'm dealing with, I don't know if they've ever done anything like that with the city. They said, no, and they're extremely excited about it. We'll end up getting a rate below prime. And I think one of your main concerns was, did we have an early payoff? We have a 2-year payments that have to be made, and after the 2 years, there's no early penalty. So
Great.
They're really excited, and I think they're looking forward to working with it. I didn't know about it, but I was talking to Della Rocker, who's in charge of it. She said, "Oh yeah, RCA's are big stuff," and we're uniquely in a position because of our economic situation to take advantage of it. And so it looks like it's going to be a very, very, very positive thing for both the bank and also for.
Amazing. Thank you.
Any other council discussion? Ordinance 7325, if someone would like to introduce it.
So introduced.
An ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding clarifying the rate of pay for covered members of the Nelsonville Fire Department for special duty and amending the collective bargaining agreement between the city of Nelsonville and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Ohio Council 8, and Local 2845B, ASME, for covered members of the Nelsonville Fire Department and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city of Nelsonville has entered into a collective bargaining agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Ohio Council 8, Local 2845B, ASME, for covered members of the Nelsonville Fire Department. Whereas certain language in the collective bargaining agreement needs to be clarified and amended to specify the rate of pay for covered members of Nelsonville Fire Department when performing special duties. Whereas the city desires to enter into a memorandum of understanding to clarify the certain language in the collective bargaining agreement and effectuate the amendment. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. City council hereby ratifies and approves the memorandum of understanding attached to as Exhibit A. City council hereby authorizes the city manager to execute the memorandum of understanding with ASME to declare certain language in the collective bargaining agreement and amend the collective bargaining agreement to provide for the rate of pay for special duties for covered members of the Nelsonville Fire Department. Council hereby finds and determines that all formal actions taken relative to the adoption of this ordinance were taken in an open meeting of Nelsonville City Council, and that all deliberations of council and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action, were taken in meetings open to the public in full compliance with applicable legal requirements. 5 members of council voting to dispense with the 2 readings of this ordinance, the rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance. And this ordinance is hereby enacted on first reading pursuant to ORC 731.15 and Nelsonville City Charter Section 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance is hereby passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30 and Article 4, Section 4.09 through 4.11 of Nelsonville City Charter as an emergency in the operation of the city government, as the rate of pay for special duty for the fire department needs to be specified and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city. And this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading the 27th day of October 2025.
Motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Any council discussion on suspension? Clerk call the roll.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson? Mr. Peck?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul? Yes. Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Any citizens' comments? Council discussion?
I do have a question. I am looking over the, memorandum, and this is an amendment to Article 23 miscellaneous, Section 12, where it says special duty, well, it will now say special duty will be paid at a rate of $50 an hour or more. Could anybody, either y'all, I guess, speak to what it was before, what's being changed?
So it did not exist in the contract with the fire department before. This is the same language that's currently in the police department contract. So what this is working, the police department right now works the hockey college games and high school games, provide security. We've been asked to provide EMTs, medical coverage through the games, specifically hockey college. So looking at the contract, the only way to do it to coincide with the way it's already been practiced in the city is have the same contract language that mimics the police departments that way. Same process.
And if I may add one thing to the chiefs, there've already been, members of the fire department who perform special duty. If there's not, so part of the concern here is the auditor was, we've already actually gotten a check from Hockey College for work that they've already performed on special duty. The auditors just want to make sure he has the full blessing to write those checks. If we don't do it, we're basically forcing those firefighters to work for free on unpaid overtime because they have to be there. This is helping to clarify that they will get paid for those extra duties because they should be paid for those extra
This is not funds that come
right
from the city of Nelsonville.
Right.
Okay.
But it's set up the same as the police force, so it's a contracted extra duty service. So those checks come to the auditor's office in the names of those individuals, same way it happens now, and then it's passed through the auditor's office.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No, if you.
I was just thanking him for the
Yep.
explanation. It makes,
And
makes
just
sense.
for clarity too, chief, the members of the fire department that are doing the special duty,
Are qualified.
well, no, but they're not ones on duty
That's
that.
correct.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that because these are members of the department that are off duty for that shift, but eligible to work that. So I didn't want people to think that our firefighters are on duty that night and then they're over there at working the football game and getting paid for that too. So the city's still safe. It's not a concern.
It's additional numbers.
Yeah, so.
Any other council discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Peck?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul?
yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Ordinance 7325 passes. Ordinance 7425 is someone who would like to introduce.
So introduced.
An ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding modifying the collective bargaining agreement between the city of Nelsonville and the Fraternal Order of Police Ohio Labor Council Incorporated for covered members of the Nelsonville Police Department to provide for a canine officer. Whereas the city of Nelsonville has previously entered into a collective bargaining agreement for covered members of the Nelsonville Police Department for the period January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. Whereas certain language in the collective bargaining agreement needs to be modified to permit the Nelsonville Police Department to hire a canine officer. Whereas it is in the best interest of the city to provide for a canine officer in Nelsonville Police Department. Whereas the city desires to enter into a memorandum of understanding to modify the collective bargaining agreement and provide for a canine officer in the Nelsonville Police Department. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. City Council hereby approves the memorandum of understanding attached hereto as Exhibit A and incorporated herein by reference, which modifies the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Nelsonville and the Fraternal Order of Police Ohio Labor Council Incorporated for covered members of the Nelsonville Police Department to provide for a canine officer for the Nelsonville Police Department. City manager and the police chief are hereby authorized to sign the MOU on behalf of the city. The MOU shall expire with the expiration of the current collective bargaining agreement. Council hereby finds and determines that all formal actions taken relative to the adoption of this ordinance were taken in an open meeting of the Nelsonville City Council, and that all deliberations of council and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action, were taken in meetings open to the public in full compliance with applicable legal requirements. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect at the earliest time permitted by law. It will enacted by council on second reading the 10th day of November, 2025.
Okay, this is the first reading. Is there any council discussion?
I have one question. Similarly to the previous ordinance, is this like adding a new article to the collective bargaining agreement, or is this changing an existing one?
I believe it's adding.
Yeah, we
Okay.
never had a canine,
Yeah,
so it would be,
okay.
I will say, so Sunday afternoon, I believe, we got from the union their proposed language, so I know it's been a little over a day. I do have one minor, some minor wording changes, but since this is related to CBA, I'd rather reserve that for executive session discussion. I've already talked to the city manager about it. I don't think it'll pose a problem. I think it's actually favorable to the officer, but just in my review, I did notice something that I think should be addressed.
Yeah. Okay. Going back, revisiting ordinance 6725 that was tabled. Would someone like to make a motion to remove it from the table?
Second.
Mr. Peck,
Yes.
Mr. Matt,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mrs. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yep.
So I got the updated numbers from the fire chief. The correct for the last whereas clause, first line, and then in section 1C, there's the sum of $9,345.33. That should be $10,000,319.86. There's a motion on that.
Okay.
Are you gonna change the division of the money? Or do you just want to go with that?
That is, the increase is related to, the quote for restoring the pump function on engine 2052, correct?
Yes, the difference is that it's the quote from Patents.
So,
Okay, would someone like to make a motion to amend this ordinance with the change of the dollar amount to the appropriation? Bill?
so moved, and to be, to be clear, for the clerk, the number that, Mr. Rope just gave us, goes in place of the $9,000 figure in those two sections. And then in the whereas, the last whereas clause, where it says $6,500 to restore pump function, I move that gets amended, to $7,474.53.
I'll second.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Flower,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Mr. Peck.
Yes. And then since there was an amendment on second reading, I would just, out of abundance of caution, recommend a motion to suspend the rules. It won't, you don't need an emergency, but just a motion to suspend since the amendments being done on the second reading, just to ensure that it gets passed today. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Flower,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Peck,
Yes.
Mr. Clement.
Yes.
Do you want to add something?
It doesn't need to be an emergency.
That's fine.
Okay, so let's pick up with,
I'm gonna motion to adopt.
yeah, that's where it's gonna go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, motion to adopt. Yep. For a second,
Second.
citizens' comments. Council discussion. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Flower,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Peck,
Yes.
Mr. Clement.
Yes. Ordinance 6725 passes. Okay, moving on to city manager's report, Mr. Holmes.
First, I would like to thank City Council for staffing the secretary for the board of commission. Probably speak on behalf of Betty Jo Parkley and Casey Cox. It's long overdue. There's nothing more frustrating than working on a board or commission and feeling like you don't have the support of the administration. So I think that's a huge step in the right direction, and I'm really looking forward to hiring this new person and getting it started, because the work that the boards and commissions do are vital. And they really are part of the city council. I remember being on the planning commission and making recommendations and working very hard, and it never seemed me to get home. It never seemed to process anything. So from the depth of my heart, I thank you for that. I think that's going to make a huge difference. Tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, we have the steering committee, the first steering committee of the comprehensive plan. That will be at the Nelsonville Public Library starting tomorrow. Well, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock is what I'm trying to say. Thursday of this week, we're having the DORA public hearing at 6 o'clock here in the Nelsonville City Council. At 7 o'clock, there'll be a meeting of the Nelsonville Planning Commission. And that meeting will be held in the conference room next to the city manager's office. That's all I got.
Any questions for Mr. Holmes?
I do have one, this can either be to you, sir, or to any of the members of the street committee. There was recently a discussion of, installing a crosswalk across Columbus Street in front of between the Hive and the library. I was asked about that today, and I could not remember if that got forwarded to council or to additional work among the city administration.
It was referred to me.
Okay.
I dropped the ball on that one.
We were waiting to see if McKees was gonna be able to seal Columbus Street this year,
Okay,
because we didn't wanna put it down and have them seal it.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get with them tomorrow and find out if they're gonna be able to put them in this year or not.
Okay,
They were waiting to let me know with the weather being colder. Same thing, let me put this out there, not to hijack you, but the Canal Street project, they've had problems with the plant the last 3 days. That's why it's so far not paved. They were hoping to have everything paved by today, in the day. And this morning, they got 3 trucks and the plant went down.
Friday night, Halloween. Do you remember the time? 6:30 to 7:30. Be on the lookout for all the little ghosts and goblins. We don't want anybody to get hurt. And I should say congratulations to the Nelsonville Buckeye.
Okay, good of the order. Mr. Taylor, would you like to start?
Sure. I too was gonna congratulate the Buckeyes on great victory last Friday. So congratulations on them having another perfect season. And they get a first round bye in the playoffs, which is pretty exciting. And also for Halloween, please be careful, be safe. If you're out driving around, please, just be extra cautious. For little ones that may be, trick or treating. So that's all I got.
Okay. Ms. Joseph Saul.
Yeah, I have some difficult news to share. I'm sure those who are close to him are already aware, but I did want to take a moment to remember a beloved member of our community, Jeffrey Lynn George. Like many of us, Jeff was a long-term transplant to Appalachian, Ohio, lived in the Dew House for the past few years and was very proud to be living in the apartment that was once the hotel room that President Theodore Roosevelt stayed in on the campaign trail when he gave a speech to residents of Nelsonville from the second floor balcony. He was a salesman, a fisherman, and a bit of a hustler, so it could be hard at times to know whether or not he was telling a tale, but we loved him just the same. He was a regular at karaoke, where he delighted the crowd with his renditions of Give Me 3 Steps by Lynyrd Skynyrd and To Make You Feel My Love, which I know was a Bob Dylan original and covered by many other artists, but Jeff sang the Adele version, and I respect him for that. Even if you never bumped into him at a community event, you likely saw him traversing town with his walking stick on one of his daily adventures. The man was everywhere. He was deeply devoted to his family, and when one of his daughters was battling serious health issues, he literally gave his last dollar to help her cover her expenses, a choice that brought him this close to eviction and homelessness. Before he got sick, he was preparing for a cross-country bicycle trip to raise funds and awareness for the Make-A-Wish Foundation at 73 years old. His unshakable spirit will be sorely missed. His life will be celebrated at the Anchor Church of Gloucester, 43.5 Madison Street on this Wednesday, October 29th. His family will begin receiving friends at 3 p.m. and the memorial service will start at 4 p.m. Contributions can be made to Morrison Funeral Chapel to assist with final expenses. Thank you for allowing me this space to remember him here. On a lighter note, Nelsonville community dinners are still ongoing. We have, thanks to a member of the Parade of the Hills Committee, we have built a relationship with the coordinator at Nelsonville Homes, Linda Bullock, and thanks to her, we were able to use their community space this past Sunday for our spaghetti dinner. It would still probably be for the best for the dinner group to be able to rotate indoor locations, because obviously if a resident of Nelsonville Homes wants to have an event on Sunday evening, they should be given the priority for that. So if other folks have an indoor venue with or without a kitchen, we will figure it out. You know, come and approach me or Mr. Peck or Mr. Holmes. We're all in touch with the board members of Nelsonville Community Dinners, and we'll make those help make those connections. Yes, sir. Sorry.
How many have you been averaging?
About 20 to 30. Yeah, on average. Yeah, yeah, we do anticipate that with community members not receiving SNAP benefits on November 1st. We may, are you okay, sir? Okay. No, don't be sorry. But we do expect to see more people in the coming weeks. So any support would be greatly appreciated and will go a long way. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great thing that the organizers are doing for that event. Mr. Powell?
I just kind of want to reiterate what's been said before. Halloween is coming up, and it is a day that is really high for pedestrian injuries and deaths, especially of children. I urge everyone to please drive very safely. We'll be dressed in dark clothing. Just drive safe.
Mr. Flowers?
Well, to kind of tack on to what Mr. Powell said, the starts getting dark about what, 7? And this goes to 6:30 to 7. So they're going to be walking around in the dark. So we have to be exceptionally careful and aware of that. I know Chestnut Street really jams up with kids too. So, you know, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Lawson?
I know it's only a citizen comment, but it's 6:30 to 7:30, but those kids start earlier than that and they don't quit at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do 6 to 8, that's probably when you ought to be real careful. Thanks. Don't want to hit anybody.
I don't have anything except remember next weekend, time goes back.
Yes, sir.
Don't remind us.
I just, we change clocks next weekend is the biggest thing. The only thing I have, and we watch out, cause it's getting dark earlier. When you just have to be careful. I just asked the people on Chestnut Street, because of the new, Canal Street's done, the 25 mile an hour down through Chestnut, not 45. I've got people running down through there like you wouldn't believe. So we ask you to slow it down, especially coming up for trick or treat Friday night.
All right. Mr. Peck?
If you were planning to come to the committee meeting for the Brick Festival, it turns out that falls, they got a bye week the first week, so that falls on the second week of playoffs, and the boys are home, so I'm gonna move that date. If you watch on Facebook, you'll see when it gets moved to. I still have to call the library and figure that out, but fair warning, it's gonna get moved forward.
Mr. Taylor, you said you had something?
Yeah, I forgot to mention. So we have a new business that's coming to town. It is the Highlander Laundromat is coming back into service. So, the new owners of the laundromat, they weren't gonna be able to unfortunately have their project done prior to, trick or treat. So, on Saturday, November 1st, from noon to 4, they're asking folks to come out and celebrate with them. Bring your kids in costumes, celebrate, eat candy, drink hot chocolate. You can see some of the renovations that they've been doing. They just power washed it. They're getting ready to paint it. They're putting all new equipment in there and it should be coming online here shortly. So, but the new owner had asked if I might make an announcement to just publicize that. They want to show off the new what they're doing to the building. So,
Okay, that's great news. The only thing I have is 2. With that, I'll make a motion to go into executive session under ORC 121.22G for personnel and legal matters and invite in Mr. Rowe and Mr. Holmes.
second.
Ms. Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Yeah.
Howard, Mr. Lawson,
Yeah.
Mr. Peck,
Yes.
Mr. Matt,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Are you going to take action?
Don't believe so. I don't believe so. I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly. I don't believe so.
Is it possible that we might?
See, I'm on board.
It is a possibility. It is possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to return from executive session at 10:13 PM.
Second.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Peck,
Yes.
Mr. Matt,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mr. Powell.
Yes.
And motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Peck,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph Saul,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Okay. Have a good evening.